The Seattle Seahawks barely missed the playoffs in 2024, but thanks to the ability to make a lot of moves this offseason, a brand new Seahawks team could potentially make a deep playoff push. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we are going to be doing our first mock free agency for the Seattle Seahawks this offseason. Before we get into it, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, tackle that bell, and while you're at it, leave a like and a comment. Let us know what you want to see the Seahawks do this free agency season. Now, Ryan, the Seahawks, they are entering as of right now over the cap, about 6 to 7 million over the cap, but
Yeah.
there's plenty of moves that they can make to free up some space here, and we're going to get into that here in a second. But looking at this free agency list, who are some of the guys that is going to the main primary conversations are going to be held on whether they should stay on the team,
Yeah.
the front office decides, or potentially be cut or moved on from.
Yeah, I think there's a good amount of guys here. You look Laken Tomlinson, Ernest Jones, Jerron Reed, Josh Jobe is a restricted free agent. You have Stone Forsythe, Jonathan Hankins, Pharaoh Brown, like a few other guys too, kind of going down all the way down to Josh Ross, Jason Peters, Jalen Darden. Like they have a decent bit of guys. I think that you could consider bringing back. Some of the guys down towards the bottom, I think, are going to be coming back on like league minimum deals. So we're not really going to talk too much about them, but yeah, I think they have a decent bit of guys. I think that we can talk about, and let's get started here because I think we have a lot on this other page here just to kind of go through, and start off with all the roster cuts that we made just to clear up some of the cap space. So you can see we're at about $38 million in cap space. I think we were able to clear up about
60 million.
about 60 million, yeah,
Yeah.
in cap. And so starts Tyler Lockett. I have laughed a little bit at some of like the narratives kind of coming out around uh the team. It's like, well, the Seahawks, they have to move on from either DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett. It's like, oh, well, I think that's a real tough decision for you guys to have to make. You like one of the best receivers in the league or a 33-year-old veteran who's done really well for you, but like is on the very end of his career. And so Tyler Lockett gets moved on from here in this situation. Draymond Jones is another guy that hasn't lived up to his contract. Uchenna Nwosu, kind of in that similar boat with Draymond Jones. He's the only guy that we did a post June 1st cut on, just because that cleared up a little bit more money for this season rather than clearing up more money for next year, which you can already see they have $173 million as of right now. So I think it was a little bit more important to get the money for this year. Noah Fant is another guy. AJ Barner had a pretty good season as a rookie there. This is a deep tight end class. You could also go and sign a tight end here in free agency. And so I feel like that's an option there. Rayshawn Jenkins, another guy, just to kind of clear up space. We do end up signing I think in that secondary, we can go ahead and just kind of clear up some of that space. They have Julian Love and some other guys that can play well there.
Kobe
Roy
Bryant.
Robert, yeah, Kobe Bryant as well. Roy Robertson Harris, another guy too that can clear up that you can clear up space just to put some of that money towards bringing back Jerron Reed as well. And then George Fant, you have Abraham Lucas, Charles Grant. Or Charles Cross is there. Charles Grant is a tackle prospect in the 2025 draft class. But George Fant, you can move on from as well. He's in the late stages of his career as well. And so I do think that this is the most amount of roster cuts that we've had to make throughout this series. But with that being said, I do think that all of these make a lot of sense. It clears up a lot of space for the Seahawks and allows them to re-sign some of their key guys and go out and make some additions to this team.
Well, and I think that is a crucial point as well. It clears up the space to re-sign some of the key guys that we're about to get
Yeah.
into here in a second. Just like, for example, if you scroll down, like if they would want to bring back Roy Robertson Harris, they can bring him back for less than $6 million. So it's like it's $6 million straight up or nothing. So like cut him, clear up that space, see if you can get better value elsewhere, and then you can continue those conversations later on. Come end of March, mid-April, or even post the draft if there's some spots that you need as well. And so a couple of the other guys, I think for Noah Fant, for example, at tight end spot, he only had 500 yards in receiving production And I think if you want to scroll up a little bit, I think his cap hit, actually, I could see it here on my
It was
my computer.
8.9 million in savings.
Yeah.
He only had a cap hit of 4.5, but
No. So that's at the end. That's what the dead
oh,
cap would be. If they
oh,
kept him, his cap hit
13.4.
would be 13.4. So, and that's where similar, I think, with Roy Robertson. If they want to bring him back, sure, but they can bring him back for less, and I think they can address the tight end position in the draft, or as you mentioned, they have AJ Barner, and so, or even two as well. Pharaoh Brown did not have anywhere near the production as those other two tight ends, but if they just needed a tight end for certain situations, they could sign him to a league minimum deal, and there you go. So,
Yeah,
a lot of moves though. So a lot of guys from last year's roster are going to be gone, but I think where this team really needs to improve on is going to be in the trenches on both sides, and so part of that is also locking up and returning the players who did produce last year, starting with Jaron Reed as well. So one of the top guys, him and Leonard Williams, had a great season as well. I know he's going to be 33, but still bringing him back, I think, will be a solid start for this Seahawks free agency season as well. Same thing then too with Ernest Jones as well. So trade midseason, and that was kind of the lightning rod. I feel like for
yeah,
this defense to just make a big switch, and so I think he likes being there. I'm going to assume that Seahawks like him being there as well, considering the production as well.
yeah,
So make him not the highest paid linebacker, but probably maybe top 15 highest paid linebacker. Keep him there in that system. Mike McDonald really likes using him as well. And then lastly, when it comes to internal ones, we signed Laken Tomlinson to a very cheap deal as well. Interior offensive line is one of the biggest areas that this team is going to need to focus on. And so I know Laken Tomlinson is 33 and not the best guard in the league, but still just keeping some continuity, hoping that you can keep on improving.
yeah,
And at minimum, use him as a depth piece and $2 million for a backup guard. If that's what he becomes, worst case scenario. Actually, that might be best case scenario if he becomes a backup guard.
yeah.
But $2 million is nowhere near that big of a cap hit. But I think when it comes to the guard position, I think there are some key guys that they can go out and get. And Ryan, who's going to be that first guy that they go out and make a splash in?
Yeah, so Tevin Jenkins is a free agent in Chicago right now, and I do feel like he would be good value there, just to go and add to this team. He has had some injury issues in the past, but with that being said, I do think that going in, just making that addition strengthens this offensive line. I don't know why it's not popping up here uh, to sign him to a contract, but they're going to sign him to about a 3-year, $39 million contract.
Yeah.
You can put some team options in there just to kind of see and like kind of move some of the money
Yeah.
around so you're not on the hook for all of it in case he does come in and continues to get injured. But when he's been on the field, he's been a top 20 interior offensive lineman in the league. And I think that that's a really good
Yeah.
value there for the
Just
Seahawks
put
team.
some random player in there, and
Try
just
one more time.
let you know it's going to be Tevin Jenkins. Put Steve Smith in there. Actually, I
Okay.
think that'd be funny. Yeah. Or maybe it's something that's going on with over the cap as right. Oh, so they're making
Yeah.
something wrong with over the cap as a
Yeah.
system there. So that would bump them down to about $25 million left in cap space,
Yeah.
and we're trying to get to around 15ish, just so then they can focus on signing their uh,
Draft
draft.
class.
Yeah, their draft class, and also keep a little bit left over as well for any free agency or in season moves. Ryan, who else are the Cardinals going to be selecting here in free agency?
Yeah, so the other one, they did move on from Tyler Lockett. I do think that they'll go out and make a veteran move in this offseason and sign a veteran wide receiver. The guy that first popped into mind was Brandon Cooks. I'll try this again. Nope. Okay. It's just not working. But they can sign him to about a 2-year, $24 million deal with some guarantees in there that I think limit it to maybe have some performance bonuses, I think, in there as well. And so I think that'll lessen his cap hit, putting them at about 13 to 15 million. And then
Yeah,
lastly, for the Seahawks of addition of the offseason additions, they did move on from Noah Fant. Pharaoh Brown is a free agent for them, but he was mostly like an inline tight end, mostly a blocker, and so I do feel like going and getting a guy that can still line up in line for you, but also be have a better receiving acumen. I think Austin Hooper would be another really good addition there. And so they signed him just a 2-year, $7 million deal as well, just to kind of come in. So another Patriots tight end being stolen over here to the Seahawks. But I think that would be a good fit as well. He can do a good job lining up kind of as that traditional Y inline tight end. And so I do like what this like free agent class would do for them. And all in all, I like this is a talented Seahawks team. I think they're going to try to gear up and make 1 or 2 more pushes with Geno Smith at quarterback, and then maybe try to find an heir to that throne.
Exactly, too, especially with him getting up to 35. But that being said, the quarterback position is we're seeing several guys play into their late 30s, early 40s. So I have to kind of wait and see. And I think one thing too as well, I like that addition of Austin Hooper. That would put their cap space a little bit around $10 million. If they wanted to clear up some more space, if they restructure DK Metcalf's deal, that would clear up about 12 million. And I agree with you. I don't think DK Metcalf's going anywhere. I think he's going to be in Seattle probably for the rest of his career, or at least for the vast majority of it, if he wants to keep playing, if
Yeah.
he's like 33, 34 or something like that. So there's plenty of moves that the Seahawks can make. I think that they will make and move on from several of these guys to clear up some cap space and try and improve in a lot of areas. The Seahawks, they do have, looks like 8 picks as of right now, according to Tankathon. The compensatory picks, I believe, are still up in the air, because they do have a couple of compensatory picks, so we'll have to see where those end up falling. But I do think with free agency, beef up that interior with some of the top guys that are over there. Try and replace Tyler Lockett production with another veteran receiver. Then I think in the draft, really focusing on the trenches once again, because I like the skill position players all around for the Seattle Seahawks on both the offensive and also on the defensive side of the ball. It's just going to be beefing up the trenches here. So once again, I think that's going to be the primary focus for the Seahawks throughout the
Yeah.
entire offseason.
Yeah, no, and I think that they did a good job in this mock free agency, and then also too, I think in the draft they can really focus on that. That is the kind of the strong point of this draft class. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you thought of the Seattle Seahawks mock free agency. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? And other than that, we'll see you guys next time.